Welcome to episode 5 of Lighten Up, the Law of Attraction meets everyday living. I'm your host, Ronnie Kala, and today we're diving into everyone's favorite topic, money. We'll talk about women's history with money and where our limitations came from, the future of money as we step into the new earth, and how you can use the law of attraction right now to create more of it. Let's dive in. Today we have a big topic. We want to dive into wealth, abundance, and money as it relates to the law of attraction. And we'd love to first open up with the good news from this week and what we're noticing in current events, because we love to apply the law of attraction to the current events. But we have a lot of content to get through today, so I'm going to keep it a little minimal with what's been happening this week.
Money is a big topic, right?
Money's a big topic. Everyone loves to hear about money. So we're only going to keep
talk about it. Everybody has questions about it. Everybody wants to dive into it. Everybody wants more of it.
Exactly. So we're going to keep the news limited to the news about money. So for example, we have just entered a new era where Trump's tariffs have now taken place. The 30% tariffs have started.
Yes, everywhere. Everybody gets tariff. You get a tariff, you get a tariff, you get a tariff. Except for the car makers, he's going to he's going to pause on the cars, but like everybody else, he's like,
So we're really going to start seeing changes, not just to our economy, but like a global economy. So for example, Canada, the Prime Minister candidate, Chrystia Freeland, said if she wins office in the upcoming days, she will enact 100% tariffs on Teslas in Canada.
100%, yeah. We've also had now, on the topic of Teslas, we also had, was it France? Germany? Was somebody, they like lit fires to just the Tesla, like the Tesla facilities. We've had charging stations lit on fire, and maybe in Boston. Like, so not just like money issues with tariffs, but like also destruction to the Teslas.
Yes. So that's like a whole nother thing with Elon Musk and his downfall this month. That could be like a whole rabbit hole, if you will, but because the way that he does money and the way that his money is like falling right now.
Yeah, and I feel like we could dive into it a little bit because it's also like the astrology, and it has to do with where we're shifting from humanity, and like, let's get into that too.
Totally. So for example, Canada also signed a new order pulling American booze off of their shelves in Manitoba. So we're already seeing like American products like not being in other countries.
Yeah, Jack Daniels is getting a good snub up on that for sure.
And a U.S. band, Winnetka Bowling League, they're one of my favorite bands, actually. I really love listening to them. They were on tour in Canada. They brought their T-shirt merchandise to Canada, but because of the new tariffs that were enacted, if they were to bring their T-shirts back to America, they would have had to pay 25% tariffs on their T-shirts. So at their show in Canada, they just gave away their T-shirts to the audience. They're like, we're not even going to charge you. Just these are free because we don't want to bring them back and pay 25%.
And I think as we unpack the news and we're unpacking like the conversation of where we're shifting in humanity, how things are changing, all of these are actually very important. They're very important to pay attention to and very important to watch. And I'm going to we'll dive into why. Yeah.
And I think one thing to note while we're like going through all of this is our conversation last week about old paradigm and new earth. As we're stepping into this new earth and we're seeing more of the new earth, we're also stepping into a new way of doing money. And the way that we've been doing money is potentially not the way we're going to keep doing it in the oncoming months and years. So as we are talking about the energy of wealth and abundance and money, it's not just about the 3D exchange of dollars. It's also about like the energy of abundance, if you will. So that's something else I would love to dive into today too.
Let's do it. Because I feel like also we had Target stocks tanking. I think there's also like, aren't people, and now we're banning, what do we call it when we're not buying?
A boycott?
Yes, thank you. So we did that for like Target, right? And now
you're such a matriarchy, you can't even hear the word boy in
I'm so in matriarchy. It's called boycott. I don't know. It's so weird. I love it. And then so we did the boycott on Target. That had an effect on their bottom line. Now we're focusing on Amazon because DEI program, like so
Hmm.
many issues, right? So, and now like we're actually starting to affect people's bottom lines, which is part of the money shift that we're going to talk
Hmm.
about.
Totally. And there's been a stock crash not just for Amazon, but like the stock market as a whole because of the tariffs that were enacted.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So people get real concerned. It's like, there's also people playing with money in a different way where they're making billions off of insider trading and knowing like what's going to tank and then what's going to come back up. So, there's also
Hmm.
that play at hand too. And people are like, how did that person know about that thing? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Um, so that's all, again, the game of money.
And there's lots of different ways you can play the game of money. So there's the game of like credit and credit cards and credit
Mhm.
bureaus and your credit score. There's the stock market and
Mhm.
trading and crypto and
Oh my
things like
gosh, you want
that.
to unpack all this
There's
today?
I don't.
Okay.
I
Let's.
don't want to unpack all of
Oh,
it because we
okay.
have like a limited time to talk about these things, but I want to say it because it our conversation of the energy of money
Mhm.
brings into play all of those things. It
Yeah,
encompasses all of those things. So
100%.
if our listeners have any questions specifically on any of these games and ways to play money in the money games, like please email us, comment, let us know, and we can answer it on another episode also.
But we kind of have to talk about it because we're going to talk about the energy.
Let's dive in. Let's talk about it.
We can't like skip over the game of money if we're talking about the energy of money because everybody's playing a specific game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the challenge, so people want, should we just go? Do I just
Let's
go
do
for
it.
it?
Go for it.
Rip it. Okay. So, and this is just so people understand, like we have a training specifically for abundance, wealth, and money because it's such a deep dive topic. Like I think we cover it every year, like every year's trainings with people with us because it's such a like important topic. And if you want to know what energy you're in general, look at what you do with money. Right. And so that's like a big determining factor. So if we're talking about an energy and we're talking about the abundance, right? First things first, Ronnie, go through the list and see how many I like check off right off the get go. Okay, so first is money is an energy. So we live like it's a physical form and we live like it's a real thing, but money, like everything else, is just energy. And the way that you relate to money, you relate to abundance, you relate to your bank account, you relate to making more, how you make more money, how money comes to you, how much money you have, how much money you spend, what you spend your money on. That's all energy. Right. So, like, step one is, this, when we dive into people becoming more abundant, it's like step one, you want to look. This is like a self evaluation. You get to take a deep dive on how do I relate to money. Like, if you have a low self worth, you're going to have a low bank account number.
Mm-hmm.
Just how it goes. If you have a low self worth and you win the lotto, that money don't stick around, that money's gone. And you've heard stories about that, right? It's because of the energy field. You want more money, we focus on our energy field and then we get more money. But money is just an energy, and that's like number one. When people are like, yeah, but I want $1 million. Okay, great. But what are you asking for really is like a bank account that has 1,000,000,000. Like it's like a bank account number. Nobody wants $1 million bills to like sleep in and bathe in and dance in. Like that's not actually what people want. And the
Mm-hmm.
want and the desire for millions, you have to go like, where did that come from? Okay. Which is also an energy. Where did the desire come from? Like
Mm-hmm.
human people talking about things.
And I would add too, it's not necessarily about the amount of money that you want. When you want more money, let's say you want $1 million, you want to manifest more money. It's not about the number that you want. It's about the experience that you get to have when you have that amount of money. Maybe
Right.
it's a vacation. Maybe it's an experience that you get to have of flying on a private plane or going
With
to
rose
Mexico
gold on it.
with
A
rose gold.
rose gold private
That's
jet.
right. That's right. Um, I don't even know
Right.
what people want normally.
Going to Mexico. Well, and really, this is it. What they want, like if I was to dial it down, they want the freedom to choose what they want when they want. They want
Mm-hmm.
the freedom.
And a lot of people that I talk to will be like, "Oh, I want more money so I can quit my job, so I can do XYZ, so I can quit my job and then I'll have more time to do
Yes.
XYZ." You want more money and you want more time so that you can do something else with your money and with your time.
And all of this is energy. So we connect like I want more money so I can have more time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can have a choice of how I spend my time. And I have a choice of what I spend my time doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if we unpack that, so if you're listening to this, take notes on this for yourself. Because if we unpack this, what you're also like, what you're saying is, I don't have the freedom. I think money is going to give me the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Money is an energy. And so if you think you don't have the freedom and money is going to give you the freedom, you're not going to ever have money because you equate money to freedom and you feel like you don't have any freedom. Your energy field is not free. It is a,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, slave, is constrained, is not expansive, is yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
And you think when I get the money, then I'll be that way. So you stay that way, hoping for the circumstances to change. That is not law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Law of attraction is you change your energy and then the reality comes to you. Then the circumstances change.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
So
real mind fuck when you really get into it.
it is. You may have to go back and listen to that portion because that was a big like mic drop.
100.
Um, I also want to dive into we really love working particularly with women and the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say 90 to 99% of our clients are women. And we tend to work with them specifically on not just their personal limitations around money, but also because of the limitations we've been given from society and from the
Yep.
way that we've
Yep.
been living. So for example, for women and money, it's we've been more limited than the average white man, if you will. In 19
No. I mean, yeah, really. We have.
so just given the facts about
Mhm.
women and so like in 1900 women
Well,
first gained.
let's preface this because like I feel like you and I may experience reality where women have always had choice around money or freedom around money, but when you look at the history, it's not true. And we're like literally in Women's History Month. And so like, yeah, let's go over what is the history of women with money because again, money does provide a freedom, right? It does provide a freedom for sure. And that energy, right? Like, but women weren't necessarily free, right?
Mhm.
And then when we got the freedom with money, we really excelled on some things. I feel like we should talk about that too. But go ahead. Yes, let's get the stats of like the history of women in like monies and financials and things like that. Cause I think it's important. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1900 was when we first got property and wage rights, where we could own property for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
1969 was when we could actually.
But we could own property so long as a man signed on. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
We couldn't own it on our own until like 1974.
Hmm.
Yeah.
1969 we could initiate divorce
The f-
for the
and
first.
in some states, that's rolling back. And in some states, in the United States specifically, in some states, you can't just go and get a divorce. Like in Colorado, like the things that I know in Colorado, it's like a 90-day period. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, you want a divorce, we get it. Go get one. In like South Carolina, you have to live separately from a spouse for a year before you can file for a divorce, which is like
Mhm.
sometimes a financial burden for women still.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
1974 was when we could buy a home and get a credit
Without a
card
man.
without a man.
Yeah.
Buy a home without a man, get a credit card without a man to sign off on it.
WTF, men. Sorry.
And 1988 was when we could own our own business without a man.
Now, and that should be mind blowing. Okay. So we couldn't own our own business until 1988. My mom owned her own business. I was born in 1981. So that's all I knew. But like she would have been a pioneer of like being divorced, owning her own house, owning her own business, having her own credit card. Like she was pioneer for our lineage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now there was one other thing that I wanted to feather I want to put in your hat, which is, so we had business, credit card, divorce. What was the other one that came to mind? No, it's gone.
Property, wage rights.
Oh, we it's I think it was around 1974, I think I could be wrong, could be 1973. Employers were no longer allowed to fire a woman for being pregnant or having kids. But up until that point, women could get fired for being pregnant and or having kids. So like, you should be at home taking care of the kid.
Mm.
Get the fuck out. And you're like, so it doesn't matter if you had a significant other or not to help you. That was how
Mm-hmm.
that was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Women's History Month. Let's unpack that history. Now let's change history, shall we? Any other stats?
Nope, that's the stats that I've got. But tell me why it's important for us to go over these and why it's important. Like as we speak about freedom with money and
Yes.
living beyond our money limitations and
Yes.
living it fully in abundance, like tell me
Yes.
like why these things are important.
Well, because it gives way to what is happening energetically in our limitation. You see, so men, like I have a mug and it says, may you have the confidence of a mediocre white man. And every dude I date, I'm like, would you like coffee in my mug? It's kind of like a test. Like, do you like my mug? But it's one of those things like, men have always just had this inherent privilege to have access to do what they want when they want with their money with like honestly, if a man's not making it with all this privilege, you got to be like, what the fuck is going on, really? Okay, women, so it's only been 60 years. Did I do the math? I don't really know. That we've had access to some of the freedoms as it stands, right? Now, here's something interesting. The number one homeowner in North America is actually women. Women are owning homes. The statistic is there's more women owning homes than men in North America, United States. Let's not say North America. So that's just to show you, like, if we get a little guidance or a little leverage, we'll start to like go for it. But one of the challenges that we consistently have to unpack is that money hasn't been ours. Homes haven't been ours. Jobs haven't been rightfully ours. Our education hasn't been rightfully ours. Like Mona Lisa, was it Mona Lisa Smile with Julia Roberts about the schooling? I was trying to think back, like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and she was a teacher, and it was like all the girls would go to school, but if they got pregnant, they drop out of school, right? So it's same, like just that we didn't even, like education wasn't a priority. So this is only like a shift and a change, but to notice energetically, we have these limitations. One of the biggest challenges that we have inside of our personal growth and development courses, like, yes, it's an investment. I want you to work with me for a year. I want you to put the money down. Why? Because it's an energetic change. But here's the fascinating thing about that. How many women, when they go to make that choice for themselves, it's so hard. Like it's hard to put ourselves first. It's hard to spend that amount of money on ourselves. It's hard to invest in ourselves. We have no energetic patterning for it. And like what we're patterned for is to put everybody else first, to take care of everybody else's needs. And so like I've literally asked clients like coming into the program, like, you want to invest in this thing? Yes. Oh, the money. And you go, okay, if it was the same investment for your kids, for your significant other, for somebody else, would you do it? Without a doubt. That's the difference, and that's the correlation. And so it doesn't matter if it's a personal growth and development program, or it's something for you, or it's like taking care of you, and so that energy is the limitation, because we have then self-worth in the background. And I remember this. I remember being like, look, I think this was like 4 years ago ish. And I didn't have Cece for like the December, like Christmas to New Year's week. I didn't have her. And I was like, look, I'm going to go to Mexico for me. I'm going to go hang out on a beach all inclusive for me. I'm going to have a super luxurious experience for me. And then I got to like what the all inclusive, super luxurious resort price point would be for that week. And I was like, burp, burp. And I had it, but like I'm aware enough to go, that's me not honoring myself. That's me not investing in myself. That's me not like showering myself. And I work through it as I invest in that for myself and my well-being and my like peace of mind and my experience.
So I feel like I've talked to a lot of women who have done a lot of work on themselves, who have done personal growth and development or shadow work or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And feel like they've broken through this self-worth or not enough piece, but are still not seeing the money come in. They've seen changes in every other area, but not in money. What would you say to somebody who may be going through that experience?
I would question that you've done all the work. And that can be a hard pill to swallow, especially in the spiritual community. In the spiritual community, well, I've been doing this forever. I get people all the time. I'm like, look, I've been working on myself consistently every day, every hour, every minute for 15 years. And they go, oh, me too. Okay. Show me the results. I want to see that you're like abundant. I want to see that you're abundant in love and money and relationships and resources and expansive. Because if not, there's something missing. That is just energy. If you are abundant and self-love and self-worth, and you've deconstructed this paradigm of limitations, then the money will be there. And if not, then there's something else to do. You should come talk to me. I've done all that. Okay. And so part of my life path and part of my life story is there's not one person who could come to me and tell me that their story, and I haven't either lived it or coached somebody through it.
And tell me a little bit, just a summary of your experience with money, because you what was it, 8 to 10 years ago, were in a completely different place with money than you are right now.
Well, I mean, when I grew up, like my life when I was a kid, we had those big tubs of peanut butter that was like probably food, like we were probably on food stamps, and we had like the donation big jar, like I don't even know, it was like the worst thing. Definitely not Jif. Definitely not my fave thing. We shopped at Goodwill. I loved Goodwill, but like, blessed that if I had a want or a desire at Goodwill, my mom was like, no dice, we only bought, you could only get something at the grocery store if you had a coupon for it. My mom had like the coupon thing. It's like, so isn't it so different, Ronnie? You're like, what in the hell?
No, I a little bit. It's funny because we're sisters, but we had completely different experiences because we're 18 years apart and we only share a dad. We had different moms. Totally. So yeah, your experience is a little different. Like I remember the couponing and I remember like shopping at Goodwill, but not primarily.
Yeah, that was it. Like the first time I went to a mall in 5th grade, my mom got so pissed. She was angry. She was like, who are these friends?
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Well, so you grew up not necessarily in a wealthy environment. You grew up.
No, not at all. And then, so that pattern was there, right? Like, okay, we thrift, it's scarce. We like use our resources. So when I loved flipping properties, like I had that. And then, yeah, when my ex-husband lost his job, my daughter was 4 months old, and I was making probably $1,500 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and at $1,500 a month and him losing his job, my primary focus was like, okay, but my commitment, and this is where we want to come to, okay? My commitment is that people like are aligned in their path, they're aligned in their purpose, and they're living their truth. And that was the question I asked my ex-husband, was like, what do you want to do? No, I didn't hear the whole truth, okay? I heard what I wanted to hear. Okay, so he said, I don't want to work. And I heard, oh, you want to be a stay-at-home dad and a house husband. No, he said he don't want to work. Okay, so he was real committed to not working. All right, which is one of the reasons we like divorced. But he was like, I don't want to work, and I was like, okay. For me, you want to be a stay-at-home stay-at-home dad, house husband, and like that's going to become the primary focus for his journey and his path. Then my primary focus was really like pouring into my company. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the reason I say that this is important is because where your energy goes, the money flows. Where your values are set is where we're going to expand. You see, so
Mm-hmm.
when somebody is in a scarcity mindset, they're valuing scarcity. They're valuing their doubts and their fears and the scarcity and the contraction.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I'm like, I'm making $1,500 a month, y'all. My mortgage was like $1,200 a month, and I had a baby and a husband now to take care of. That was like my love story. But what showed up from that time to when my company, like I think that was probably fuck time. Shoot, what? I don't know. To where my company hit like $750,000 for a year, right? Like that's a huge leap.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I learned during that period, which was really like a significant learning period, was the trust, was the surrender, was the abundance energy field. Was it to like lean in and do what I knew how to do and like align my energy field in that and like really go all in and leave behind doubt and scarcity and not enough and all of that shit. And I had to like unravel that and unpack that layer by layer by layer every day, every month of the financial conversations with the ex-husband. Those were not fun, right? Until I really learned how to stay full in that energy field.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to
That
unpack that?
that takes a lot of practice and a lot of muscle building. Like every
Yep.
conversation, every moment, every time you spend money,
Mm-hmm.
like thinking of the energy that you're putting behind what you're choosing.
100%. Like I would play I'm rich, I got the bill. He would get so stressed out and we would fight every month over financials because I would say, like, here's the budget.
Mm-hmm.
And his energy is he likes to spend money and go over budgets. And then he'd be like, I need more money. And I'd be okay, like, here's your budget. We're going to increase the budget. And then he'd go over again. And I was like, his energy is to go over the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can surrender to that. I'm like, my energy then is to bring in more money because he
Mm-hmm.
ain't going to change. If y'all have a spouse, they ain't going to change unless they want to change, unless they like this podcast too. You know what I mean? Like, might be that way, right? And so like it was for me to surrender the path. But what I was putting like my time and energy into was my path, my purpose, what I valued, what was like intrinsically like I can trust my path consistently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the money started to expand.
Mm-hmm. And for people who may be in that same space of
Mhm.
like, I want to make more money, or I want to do this thing, or I sense this thing about wealth and abundance, but my spouse is not in the same place, or my spouse is in scarcity, but I'm not. Like, what would you say to somebody in that circumstance?
You should sit down and talk to your person, right? Like, here's the thing, because like that person in your relationship could be in two different places. So first is, I usually come from the standpoint that our partners want to provide and love us so much. We think that like if we ask for something or if we do something and it's money or investing in us, we think they're going to say no. We think there's going to be an issue. We think that like they don't want to spend that money, or they're not going to let me spend that money, or they're going to not like that I'm spending that money. We think that. Like anytime somebody comes up with that, I'm like, talk to your spouse. Have a heart to heart with what you actually want, what you actually desire, and ask them to partner with you to find money, to find the investment in you. Because again, money is energy. Investing in you is an act of self-love. And that's what people miss all the time. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to invest in me. I'm not going to choose this thing for me. Why? Like, I don't understand that, right? And look, I've been there. I was the breadwinner. I made all the money. And I would be like, ooh, I want to do this thing over here. And I'd be like, I should talk to my husband. Homie didn't make no money. And I'd be like, what do you think? And he'd be like, why are you asking me? I'm like, because I feel like I need permission. Like, that is the lineage. Do you see what I'm saying? I had to unpack this shit too, right? Now, the second part of this that tweaks people a little bit is we're going to go into the energy of investing, okay? So, right before my company went, woo, through the roof, like you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. You know what I mean? Like before it did that, I was $80,000 in debt. And I think a lot of people don't know that or don't think about that. That is like for some people, that's a huge number. I don't know. Do you know some of the richest people on the planet have accrued massive amounts of debt? You could go look up somebody, okay. You could go look up somebody who has like an amazing net worth and you would not know how much in debt they are, okay? Or how many bankruptcies they've had, okay? So this is going back to the money game. You got to know what your money game is that you're playing, right? So if you're playing the I need to be out of debt game, debt is wrong and bad. I cannot have any balance on my credit card. I need to pay off my house in full. You're playing a poor person's money game. And most people aren't going to like that I just said that. But you should continue following Dave Ramsey and you should continue following like Susie Orman and like you should do those things. This is not my game. My game is you want to get to abundance? That's a leap. Like when we say abundance, what the fuck are we even talking about? Like people don't even know what that is. Do you see what I'm saying? They're just like abundance. That's why like our module training is like money, wealth, abundance, because they're all different. Okay. They all have different energies, right? And so we break them down and you get trained in. But like, so let's say it's you, if that's so if you, so I want people to listen. If your money game is getting out of debt and having zero credit card balance and paying off your house, that's fine. That's not, you shouldn't do work with me. Like, I want to be straight. If you're ready to get your like world rocked with money, right? So like, get this, $80,000 in debt to $750,000. If you want $750,000, you might have to be $80,000 in debt. I don't know. That was my path. But like, I cleared my energy like along the way. Okay. Did I ruffle everybody's feathers? You're getting ready to jump in.
No, I was going to say there was a TikTok that I saw. It was a skit where this gal was like, she was like being an angel and like being the human, right? And the human was like, oh, I want $1,000,000. And the angel was like, oh, okay, you have to quit your job. And she was like, what? Like, why would I need, like, I can't quit my job. That's my security and I need money to come in and blah, blah, blah. And the angel was like, well, if you keep your job where you're unfulfilled, you're not going to have the time to spend following your path and purpose and all these other options over here that are actually going to fulfill you and get you to the $1,000,000.
Yes.
And the human was like, no, I can't quit my job. I can't do that. And so like, you just don't get the $1,000,000. And so because we're not willing to take that leap of faith and trust that we're always going to be taken care of, that we're going to be on the path,
Mm-hmm.
then we don't get to the thing that we want to get
Right.
to.
Right. And here's the number one, like break it down. So if you're listening, you can do this right now. I want you to think about your life. Okay. What you're ultimately scared of when you spend money. It's like a really weird thing too. When we spend money, we spend a lot of money. We invest in something. The big concern in the background is that if it doesn't work out, I'm going to like be in poverty. I'm going to, like, worst case scenario, lose my house, lose my job, have no money. What would I do? And so you go, okay, examine that you have that thought, but then examine if it's based in reality. Now, some people's story may have something like that. Some people may have something like that. As much as I didn't have money in my background, I've never had that. On the contrary, I've never been without a roof over my head. I've never been without running water. I've never been without the opportunity to buy a cup of coffee. My brain may do something different, but in reality, that has never existed.
Mm-hmm.
And so if y'all want to activate some energy, like look in reality, has it ever existed? Has it ever actually been there? Now, if it has actually been there, I'm one of those people, like I've been through the ringer on so many things. Like there is no way my life would ever go back to the ringer. Do you see what I'm saying? But I've never been without that. And actually the opposite. I've always had a savings account. I've always had money in a bank account, right? I can always like pull like, but when you start to expand energetically and you start to see everything as like having some value, I'm like, you know, a gift card has value. A discount on something has value. Like you start seeing things as value, you can start
Mm-hmm.
going, wow, I'm actually more abundant than I give myself credit card. Or credit
Credit
for
for.
credit card. But we get so focused on like it's the money's got to be in the bank account, it's got to show up like this. I've got to see and then if that doesn't happen, you go, oh, it's not working. I'm not abundant. I don't have money, da da da, instead of looking at all the other places.
Mm-hmm. So, for people asking about growing their wealth, growing their financial abundance, part of it is noticing the value in everything that you have and that is around you. So, not just in the cash in your bank account,
Mm-mm.
but look at like the credit cards, the
Yeah.
amount remaining or the amount available on your credit
Yeah.
cards. Look at the clothes in your closet. You can sell your clothes on Depop or Poshmark or whatever, and look at the furniture that you have. Look at your
Mm-hmm.
car's value.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the different things
Mm-hmm.
around you that hold value,
Yeah.
and you'll start to notice the abundance that you actually live in.
Yeah. I mean, and that's when you guys look up net worth, I used to do that for a while. I'd be like, what's that person's net worth? What's that person's net worth? It would surprise you. Jerry Springfield, that mother Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld, that motherfucker, his net worth is through the roof, right? Now, net worth is not because net worth is your accumulation of investments, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what wealthy people do. That's what rich people do. Poor people want to have no balances. Rich people are looking at the investment. And so, like, consistently, right? So, if we're playing the energy game, consistently we want to look at what am I putting my energy behind? What am I investing in? Well, if you're investing your time and having zero balance, then that's where your energy is going to go. You're investing your time and having a zero balance and like paying off your house. That's fine. I'm interested in having investments. So I leverage my house. My house worth a lot of money. And I'm like, let's use some of that value to invest in other things. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, how are my investments doing? That's a wealthy person's game, which means my net worth is higher than others because they're playing the poor people's game. Is my
Mm-hmm.
net worth matching Jerry Seinfeld's? Not yet. Not yet. But that homie, his net worth is like packed into cars. That he was like, I'm buying a garage. He bought the garage. in New York, and then he has all the cars, and it's like insane, this guy. Okay. But that's what he's passionate about.
And I would say it's not just about the investments in the monetary things or in the stock or the whatever, but the
Yep.
investment that you make into what you want and desire in your energy. So
Yes.
even every day as you make
Mm-hmm.
purchases on food or valuables or like
Mm-hmm.
a purse or coffee, like notice what you're investing in for yourself. Are you investing in your joy and your happiness and more ease for yourself? Are you investing in, like, when you spend money on the thing, are you worried about, oh, the number's going to go down in my bank account, and focused on the scarcity and focused
Mm-hmm.
on um focused on the
Lack.
monetary
Mm-hmm.
lack?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you focused on, oh, this thing is, I'm investing in my health and well-being. I'm
Right.
investing in my happiness. Like,
Yes.
notice that conversation that you have with yourself.
100%. And so if you're listening and you want a good book recommendation, my book recommendation is The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. I read that motherfucker probably like a dozen times, had it earmarked, highlighted, stickied, like loved it 100%. And because it is like putting your soul behind the action of spending money or investing money or like giving money, when you do that energetically, it comes back to you. And so like you're saying, every action we take becomes an investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even paying a bill is like an act of gratitude. Like you get fresh water in your house and you bitch about your bills. It's like you live in an amazing, it's debatable if America is first world country. However, like we're going to go with it right now. It could be declining to like the third because of president hashtag whatever.
We might
So,
already be there, but
but we have fresh, clean running water. And so you
for
pay
now.
the for now and you pay the bill like pissed, right? And you're like, why? I know. Why would you pay the bill pissed? You had this I mean, I live in Colorado. The drinking water is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Arizona, I'm not sure. I used to live there. Florida, Colorado, yummy drinking water. So it's like, why would I be pissed at paying the bill? That seems so weird. And so that's what I'm saying is like that the energy behind like gratitude and love for paying the bills and having a life like this. And like you get to go to a restaurant and you get to choose whatever you want. And like, I mean, hopefully, unless your scarcity and lack is having you choose from the right side of the menu. That's could
Mm-hmm.
be another challenge, right? Or you go out with your friends and the bill comes and you're like, how's it going to go? Like, that's why I used to play I'm rich, I got the bill, because I'd be like, I'm not dealing with, you know what I don't want to deal with? Let's split it. Let's do this. And like, who's going to, and then we got I'm like, take care of it all. And you know what happened? I became super rich. Isn't that funny? Because I was
But here's
playing I'm rich, I got the bill.
But here's the deal. It's not going, I'm rich, I got the bill, with all of the scarcity and lack and concern in the background either. It
No,
is not,
100%.
I need to say this because people who do our training start to do this and water down the things that you actually talk about.
They bastardize my trainings and then they get sticky in their life. And you're like, you didn't hear it all.
It is not about, I'm rich, I got the bill, with all of the lack, concern, scarcity in the background. It is not about, oh, let me buy my new car, let me get my new house, let me upgrade my life, with all of the concern of, can I pay the mortgage and can I pay the bill and the bank account number is going to go down. It is
Yeah.
not about that,
No.
because you're just putting icing on top of the poop pie. It looks a little different, but it's still going to taste the same.
Still gonna taste like shit. Ronnie was being real nice. Was gonna say it tastes the same. I'm gonna say it tastes like shit. Okay, you just ate some caca. Just let's be real.
Yeah. So, for people who want to start reprogramming their reality, who want to start living more in that financial abundance,
Yeah.
what would you recommend as like the next step, the first step?
Come work with us. We got a money course. That was like honestly, that would be my recommendation. You don't want to pay the money to free yourself up from the money things. Deal with yourself. Okay? Because it is so layered is my point. Okay.
Mm.
And it was why, like if you think you have all the tools to go from 1500 to 1500 a month to 750,000 a year, if you think you have everything, go for it. I don't think you do. And the reason that I said, God, I'm such a jerk. That
You
just
are a jerk.
people comment down below, Tamara's a jerk, and timestamp it. It's totally fine. But like I've been doing it for so long. I've been doing this for so long. I've seen people say, I'm going to go do this thing on my own. I've seen them take this much of the training and try to apply it. I've seen them fight with us through a training and come out unsuccessful. Like surrender. It takes an immense amount of surrender that you're powerful, that you're abundant. It takes a massive amount of awareness to go like, I'm about to pay this. I'm rich. I'm got the bill. I'm going to play that game. It takes a massive amount of awareness to be able to go, but I feel contracted when I'm getting ready to do it. And then the ability to clear whatever the fuck that energy was. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To be aware of like how much lineage we have as women to not spend money on ourselves, to be scarce, to take care of everybody else and not put ourselves first. The thing is like where we're going on the planet is not that. Women need to step into our power. We need to become abundant because we will be the people leading the world. And the scarcity bullshit is not serving anybody. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your kids. It doesn't serve your lineage. It doesn't serve the people around you. When we step into abundance, everybody thrives, right? And like, I don't know one training that deals with the energy of money like mine. So I can be a jerk. Bring it on. I just was.
Okay. If you could give somebody like one or three things to
Yeah.
just start with right now as they're listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
what would you say?
Work on your self-worth. If you're not going to choose to, the money course is not that much. Sorry, I can't not be a jerk. It's so terrible. Okay. Work on your self-worth. Work on your self-value. Look at where you're not, like you're unwilling to invest in you or you're unwilling to spend money on you, right? Because you go out and you're like, I'm going to cut back all my coffees to save money. Look at that money game. That's like you're in the poor person's money game. So you're going to stay in the poor person's money game. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like you want to look at your money game. You want to look at how you treat yourself because however you're treating yourself, the universe is going to treat you like that. If you think it like you're not worthy of getting your nails did or, like I have to do my own nails. I live in the mountains. We don't have good nail techs, but I get my massage every other week. Like that was a big step for me at some point, right? Like if you don't think you're worthy of that, that's the place to start. Because where I want to take people is living in that divinity, like that goddess energy, like abundance is so like, but like a goddess, a spiritual master, like you would treat them far better than you treat yourself. And the goal is to start to treat yourself that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to look at every action you take. Like, what do you put in your body? Is that an act of love? What are you choosing? If if you're like, there's an egg scarcity, and so you buy less quality eggs with less quality chickens because there's an egg scarcity thing, you compromise. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's in every act. It's in every task. It's in every we do. So go get the book of Solo Money. Okay. So for those of you who are like, Tamara's a jerk, I'm not going to work with, this is ridiculous. Go read the Solo Money, do it like a dozen times, highlight the fuck out of it. Okay. Start to examine self-worth, right? And look at like the energy you put out and how it's coming back. Grow the awareness, grow the
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. That's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did I come back from my jerk comment or no?
Yes, I think
Oh,
you're doing fine. I
all right.
I just want to give people real takeaways, something they can start doing right now if they're
But
not quite ready to like take a bigger leap. That's okay.
it's not a big leap.
I
Sorry.
mean, anyway,
Okay.
before we close out for the
Yes.
episode, There are a couple questions from our community I want to answer.
The last part of the episode where we answer the questions from the community is so my favorite.
It's our favorite. We just started doing this. If you have questions about money or about law of attraction or anything else, or if you want to see us do a specific topic for one of our episodes, please leave a comment or email us. It's Ronnie, Ronnie, at thebeyondhumanmethod.com, and we would be happy to answer your questions.
Yes.
First question that we have. I want to quit feeling bad when I spend money. How do I do that?
I would ask the question, why do you feel bad spending money? That's going to give the direct correlation because it's a personal journey, right? So again, if I feel bad spending money could be, so we could look in a couple different places. Patriarchal framework, where men come first and women do not come first. We come last, right? And our job is to put everybody else first. So the act of spending money, right? Because was it spending money or spending money on myself?
Just spending money in general.
Spending money. Okay. So then the act of spending money makes you feel guilty. Now that could be one avenue, is the patriarchal framework. Okay. What else could be is like, okay, so that's societal, right? So this is how energy works. That could be a societal framework. The second one could be just familial, right? So how your parents and your grandparents and that lineage did money. So like my grandparents came from the Great Depression, like one side, so they never had a credit card, never, like they had to save all the money before they spent it. And like nothing got spent unless it was like approved through grandpa. Okay. That's like, right now. So that could be, so you could have guilt for spending money based off of your familial lineage. Now it could also be connected to this thing, like I'm saying, like self-love. So if you think you are not worthy of XYZ, the money avenue, like every time you go to spend money, it will then show up like, oh, I can't, like, because it's like giving to you, right? When you spend money, it's doing, like you're making a choice for you. How are you going to choose for you? And you have to go over like, am I worthy of the $12 eggs or am I worthy of $2 eggs? Like, do you know what I mean? And so you have to like deal with that in that conversation. And so that's the self-worth that I'm talking about, right? Am I worthy of going to this restaurant that has $4 signs on Yelp, or am I going to choose this restaurant that has $1 sign on Yelp? That is, am I worthy of that? So every time you go to spend money, and that's why money is so, I think it's cool to unpack because you get to do a lot of self growth with it. You know what I mean? Did that answer that? Did I?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
And then a question that I know some people are dealing with, when you were talking about your experience with your ex-husband and feeling at the effect of like his scarcity or his going over budget, for women who may be in that circumstance where they're like, oh, I'm like maybe not making the money, but like I want to be in abundance and I want to be in this, but I feel at the effect of my husband is in scarcity, and like he's the one having this he's the reason we're having this experience of scarcity. What would you say to somebody in that?
So that again, so I would say you sit down, you have like the heart to heart, right? And is he willing to change with you is probably the biggest question that you want to know the answer to. So Brian, my ex-husband, for a long period was willing to change with me. Okay. And a big part, people have to understand this, a big part of my path was to experience a $1,500 a month supporting a family of 3, such that that would activate me to go on the $750,000 a year. Okay. So that was part of my path. And so it's the trust and the surrender. Now, how many conversations to Brian? I have lots. But at the same time, I also, like when we were identifying the energy of money, I was like, I'm not able to alter how he is with money. So I said, look, this is what I did. Okay. And so people have to see like what is true for them and like what resonates for them. I said, I need you to not be connected to the money anymore. You can spend the money, but I can't hear your doubt. I can't hear your scarcity. I can't field it. It's not a match for what I want to do and where we want to go. And I want to take us there. I said, so I am now taking the responsibility of like making the money, distributing the money, and like doing the accounting for the family. And all you have is this is your budget and this is what you're going to spend. That's it. I don't want you in the money anymore because it was too much. I couldn't change his energy with me.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to do that meant, okay, I'm the owner of this. I'm responsible for this aspect of the family. I'm not cooking. Don't ask me to cook. That's like a whole different, I don't know what the fuck to do with that, okay? I'm not cooking. I'm not like feeding CC three meals a day. Like that's under his wing. What I'm focused on is growing the business and like sustaining the family and growing the wealth of the family. That was my like commitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your partner isn't going to get on, like for me, that was how I became what we call the dominant energy, the biggest energy, right? Not like I'm going to dominate him, but in some way it kind of is because it's like my energy is going to be so abundant, his scarcity is not going to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how do I have it not disrupt and go like head to head with where I was going and what I wanted to create for us? And I took it on.
Mm-hmm.
That means like I don't get there's no resent, there's no pissed off, there's no he should be doing anything with money.
Mm-hmm.
I took it all on. It was all on me. That was my role. That's my path. That's my purpose. And I fucking learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a partner, it's a little bit like, you know, do they want to change? Now, at some point, what he said is, wouldn't it be better if I was in that field, that frequency with you? Wouldn't it be better if I didn't have it? I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, well, what can I do? I said, well, I got this course. Just like I just told everybody, I got this course. He goes, okay. And I said, but you got to pay for it. And he goes, but you make all the money. I said, I don't give a shit. Fucking register for that course. Put your credit card down. I needed him to go through all the actions. There's
Mm-hmm.
something so significant about taking the actions and making the investment and seeing what's like showing up. Y'all, so I treat y'all just like my spouse. Y'all think I'm like a jerk. Nope. I'm just like that intentionality, just like everybody around me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my sister. My sister wanted to do something. I was like, you get to pay for the course.
That's true. I've paid nearly $40,000 to be in these courses and have my training. So
And your life is fucking magical. So like,
this
you
is
know?
true. I wouldn't have it any other way. It would be a different experience if I got it for free because I wouldn't have been putting
Your ass
my
isn't on the line. Your energy isn't fully aligned. That's the thing.
yeah.
So people are like, you're out here making money. I've worked with my guru. Look, I've done every program I could get my hands on with my guru. I did every program I can get my hands on with Landmark Education. There was PAX programs. I did Access Consciousness. I did a slew of trainings. That's $150,000 I invested in myself. And here's the deal. If I did a free training, even now, if I do a free training, I'm like, pfft, don't talk to me. If I invest my money in it, my ass is on the line and I know I'm going to do something different. So there's like an energetic exchange that's way more profound. And so I think people don't get that is my point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So invest in something, invest in yourself. And if it's not
Mm-hmm.
me, you can go do shit with Dave Ramsey. It's cool.
And last question that we have from our community. So our methodology and what we really focus on is shifting your thoughts, feelings, and actions because that's all your energy is your thoughts, feelings, and actions.
100%.
So someone asking, how can I sync my thoughts, feelings, and actions to allow financial abundance to flow to me?
You just sync them. Let me see. How do I sync? So You want to get clear what the financial abundance is. You see how that's very, so whatever, this is my invitation. This is a quick little piece of homework for all of our listeners, okay? When people say abundance, it's ethereal. Like I
Mhm.
can't put my finger on it, okay? And us as beings are naturally abundant. The human limitation got in the way, but we are naturally abundant. We naturally have abundance of resources. We actually, I'm not going to go there. That's going to be too much for people to get. Okay. So we are naturally abundant. All right. The human limitation, the human construct, the human mind has brought up all these limitations. If we are naturally abundant, you don't have to create abundance. You need to get all the limitations out of the way. If we want to sync our thoughts, feelings, and actions consistent with an abundant future, an abundant reality, abundant money, you have to get what that is for you. You see, I didn't set the goal for like, $1 million a year. Maybe I did. I was more like, if I was making $1 million a year, what would I be doing? What would I be thinking? And what would I be feeling? Okay.
Mhm.
So if I was a millionaire, what would I be choosing? How would I be behaving? What are the like qualities of the things that I would choose? What kind of energy is it? And for me, that was like luxurious experiences, lots of ease, right? And so for me, I was like, I went on this examination of like, what is luxury? What is luxury? And
Mhm.
so for me, like one thing was like a red bottom shoes. That's like luxurious, right? For me. Or like I found I'm a Mercedes girl. That's luxurious for me. Now, look, doesn't mean you go buy a Mercedes, but like go test drive all the cars. See which one resonates for you. If you had $1 million, what car would you buy? Some of y'all don't even know. And I was a Mercedes girl for a long time. Like, am I still a Mercedes girl? I drove the Jaguar. I drove the Land Rover. I drove a Lexus. I mean, I went and did them all. And I was like, I didn't get it. I mean, you should see me at the Range Rover, Land Rover dealership. I was like, I don't get it. And what I said to that salesperson, I'm not going to say on the podcast. But I was like, I don't get it. He was like, well, what do you expect the car to do? And whatever I said next should never be said out of my mouth again. It was terrible. It was very, very, very crass. Anyways, so I just like, but like I started like learning what is my aesthetic?
Mhm.
What do I desire? So start there and learn that. Learn that for
Mhm.
yourself because that's going to start to close the gap on if I made $1 million in a year, what would I be choosing? I guarantee you you're not flying Spirit Airlines nor Southwest. They never upgrade you. You should probably choose an airlines where you get upgraded at some point. Might just happen, right?
Mhm.
So like, is it Uber? Maybe it's a black car. So you start making those like
Have you seen those bodyguards at the airport now? You can
you
order an app. On an app, you can order a bodyguard to come pick you up.
I'm
Those are
down.
pretty cool. I
I'm
haven't tried it yet. It seems pretty cool.
you
So
know,
it's,
yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Hmm.
I was going to say, so it sounds like it's not waiting for the money to come to experience the financial abundance
Yes.
and not waiting for everything to be synchronized before
Hmm.
you like
Yeah.
start spending your money on the thing. But like, what does it look like right now? What does it look like when you have the $1 million? What kind of thoughts are you thinking? What kind of actions are you taking? What kind of feelings are you feeling? And what are the experiences that you're having?
Yes, 100%. So I invite you as a listener to write this down and journal this. Spend some time with yourself. If you want to create this, then invest your own time into creating it. What does it look like? Identify the thoughts, feelings, and actions of that future self and start activating those right now. Do not go buy a Mercedes unless you are fully aligned in your thoughts and your feelings with no scarcity, no doubt, no contraction. You got to trust and live in that that is your future. If you need help with that, that's what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I got a program. I
Anything
but in
Anything else you would add as we're closing out this conversation of money and wealth and abundance? It seems like we covered a lot of territory today.
we did, and I just want to be really clear, okay? We are moving into a time on the planet. Money is changing. Our exchange of money is changing. It is moving from this capitalistic, like money rules all, billionaires rule all society, into a more holistic communal society in a way. That means the people that are going to like live in that abundance and have that wealth are going to be divinely connected to their path and their purpose. And they're going to be like spending money consistent with their values. So the reason the target stock drops is because we stopped spending money because it wasn't aligned with our values.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon stock going to drop because we're stopped spending money if it's not aligned with our values. Tesla's going to tank and Elon Musk is going to tank because it's not aligned with the consciousness of the planet rising. So this is a bigger conversation. People want money so they can like go on a beach in Fiji. That's rad. Have that experience. But notice that like the value of that is like a freedom, an experience at the beach. Because if you get to Fiji and you're thinking about work and then you're stressed out, you're not going to love it anyways. But like giving yourself the time to connect to that like blue water and that like over the water like cabin with that pool with the slide that goes into the blue water and that private bathtub with the view. Do you see where my next vacation is?
I
Uh-huh.
can see it.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good. And like you connect to that and you're like, oh yeah. You know what I'm not doing there? I'm not stressed. I'm not worried. I'm not doing any work. Like that is my next level, right? So you just go like, that's my next vacation though, right? How am I going to get there? Not on Southwest.
And I would also say, as we're moving into this new earth, where we're not going to be doing money in a cash exchange,
Yes.
credit card exchange, potentially,
Yeah.
crypto exchange anymore,
Yes.
potentially.
Yes.
The energy in which you're operating from is going to be essential to the way that you experience that new earth.
100%.
So
Yes.
if you're noticing right now the scarcity and the lack in the way in which you spend money and experience money, even if money disappears, that energy is not going to go away.
You're so smart. Who
I
trained
try.
you?
I try.
Oh my God. Yes, 100%. That's exactly it. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if the money dissipates, you're still going to be in the energy. It doesn't matter if you get $1 million, you're still going to be in the energy. So it always goes back to the energy. Mastering your energy changes the whole reality.
Mm-hmm. So then, in the same sense, if you shift your energy around money, you will shift your energy in the way you experience the new money, whatever the new currency is.
It'll get, I mean, look, we're going like years and years and years and years out here, right? But like eventually, it'll be like, oh, I do personal growth and development. Somebody shows up who needs my training, but they also have the Fiji over the water bungalow that I want to stay in. And it becomes an exchange. And the consciousness is so connected that like they show up exactly when I need them and I show up exactly when they need me. And so that becomes the energetic exchange. So you want to build your gifts. You want to honor your gifts, like especially, the older people on the planet maybe might not make it to see that. The younger people on the planet now might make it to see that, And my daughter is like a walking, talking example of this. My daughter will be like, I made all this jewelry and I'm going to go down to the coffee shop and I'm going to sell it. And then she comes back. She's like, I made $135 today. And I was like, balls to the wall. I was like, what are you going to do with it? She's like, I'm going to buy this pea coat that you said I was too expensive because I'm only 8. And I was like, rock on. So like that. Do you know what I mean? She was like,
There
I
is
want the
no
pea coat.
limitation for her.
Exactly. And she doesn't she's like, money is fun and I want to make more of it. And like, so it was like this. She didn't like calculate and computate out how am I going to get the pea coat. She was doing something that she loved, which was making this jewelry and this art. Then she was like doing something she loved, which was like being at the coffee shop. And then she was doing something that she loved, which was like selling her shit. And then she was doing something that she loved, which was receiving money. And then she was doing something that she loved, which was shopping. And then she was doing something that she loved, which is like wearing her pea coat. And like you go to like, you're like, all of that is the expression. Not one of it was work, hard, challenging, whatever. She was like, sounds fun. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably like 100% return on her investment, right?
Perfect. Absolutely. Perfect. I love that.
She's so cute.
She's super
And then she
cute.
wore it to like her basketball game. You know, it's like little shorts hiding somewhere under the peacoat, and it's got a little dress, and people are like, all right, this is the basketball gear. She don't give a fuck.
Oh my gosh.
You should have seen her outfit this morning.
I love it. She's a fashion icon. All right, well, we're going to wrap up the episode for today. I think we've gotten into a lot of content about the energy of money, the energy of abundance. You have some new reading recommendations from us. If you want to dive into one of our free trainings, we do have Living Beyond Limitations. It dives into living beyond the limitation of money, time, and fear. And you get free 7-day access to that. If you want to dive deeper into our money course or into our flagship program, feel free to reach out to us. We would be happy to talk to you about that as well.
Ronnie, why don't we put a link to the money training just in case?
Just in case. We'll add it.
Gosh.
We'll add it. We'll add a link somewhere.
We'll add a link.
All right. We will see you again next week. Please reach out to us if you would like to see a specific topic or episode. We'd be happy to accommodate as well.
And ask questions, please, by all means.
Ask questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're here
to answer. We're here to serve. We're here to answer. All right. We'll see you all next week.